Why there's a bit of a gap right now.
Yeah. Edith is just setting up our transcription on the meeting. Yeah.
That's what you wanted?
Yeah. Thank you. And the recording itself should also be closed captioned, which I believe happens on YouTube. So thank you. So I take that as direction.
Yeah, maybe because it's unfinished business, I don't think it's anything that can be answered right now on the spot. You guys have to go back and get back to us. Is it something that we could just get a short email to the committee on the update as to where we are instead of waiting for another meeting? It's been pretty hard to get these meetings. Would that be acceptable? And then we can decide whether or not to schedule it as an item on the next meeting. Okay. Is that acceptable then? Do we need a motion on that? Nope. Okay, thank you. So off to the next item. We don't have any, let's see, we have reports. We've got a number of reports. So typically to make things move a little quicker, and I think because of the nature of the membership and sort of the smoothness of the operation of the meeting, I'll just read out the actual motions that are requested instead of having people move them from the floor in full, because that's what we do to speed things along or other meetings in any event. So I'll look for a motion regarding the 2025 schedule of committee meetings. A, that the report from the CEO be received. So it goes a lot faster. Some just goes, so I move that.
I move it.
Thank you very much, Kim, Christine, right? Okay, seconder? Thank you very much, Henry. And is it okay and acceptable to everyone if I use first names at this point?
I would actually prefer that for
Okay.
myself.
If anyone's objecting, let me know. Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? No? Okay, and there's a second motion that the proposed 2025 Strathcona Accessibility Inclusion Advisory Committee meeting schedule attached to the March 11th, 2025 report from the CAO be approved. So I know we've had issues, but I take it from your point of view, Edith, we can always adjust if things become difficult. I know it's just a general approval of the schedule as proposed, so we can book it and certainly let Edith know if it becomes too cumbersome.
That's right.
I think I didn't see this. And I'm probably one of the ones who clogs up the meeting schedule. Is there a printout of it?
I don't have a printout of it. You.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
I don't have that either.
That's on the agenda. So when I sent out the notification of the agenda, there was a link there to bring you onto the website to see the agenda, and then you have to go into the items to see what they're all about.
And for the benefit of anybody who's watching, when you go on to even the SRD site and you type, you Google up the agendas, every agenda that's published will have the hyperlinks in little blue. It says like item, and you can click it and it'll show you the report details.
There's a question. Thank you.
Yeah. Question.
I just took a picture of those. It didn't look like there was any names or confidential information on there.
No, there's not. They're public.
So we still don't have the motion on the floor, but I'll take your question, Brenda, and hopefully someone will say I move and second the schedule. Go ahead, Brenda.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I think there was a mistake on the schedule. I think it was listed March 30th, which is a Sunday, and I think it was not the date that was meant to be on there, unless I'm incorrect, but I wrote an email to Edith and Elaine about that.
Okay, so when I had stated that we're looking for a motion with respect to adopting this particular schedule, we can say with the date of March 20th, which is today in any event. So can I look for a first and a seconder, please? Yes, thank you, Mr. Houle.
It's actually March 30th on here.
March 30th here, we'll make that correction.
Yeah, to March 20th, which is
March
today.
20th.
Yeah.
And then my seconder, is that going to be you, Henry? Thank you. Any further discussion? with that amended date. All in favor? Any opposed? I don't see any opposed. It's carried. Or I think that was Brenda, not opposed, but just letting me know late. Are you opposed, Brenda?
No, not opposed. Are you able to see, like, we can't see the room. I can't see the room right now. Is that just me or is it everybody online? Like, I'm not,
Give me an answer. So
none of us are seeing the room, I don't think, if I'm getting the nods right.
thank you, Brenda. We are having difficulties with our system. I was not able to bring up the Teams meeting other than showing you my icon. As soon as I go to take my icon off, everything goes black. So this was our workaround. IT is working on it, but it's not going to get fixed for this meeting.
Okay, but you're seeing us, presumably somebody like Susan can see us?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, thank you.
Here, maybe?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Sure. Could everyone who's in the room please identify themselves, starting on the side with Steve Hool, and then we'll go around counterclockwise.
If you use your microphones, it'll amplify your voices.
Oh, right, yes. And then there was a button, somewhere. Right there.
Doesn't have much of a
Right there.
feedback to it, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, you're on.
Steve Hall.
Right at the bottom. Yep.
Christine Delansky. Kim Schmid. Susan Sinnott.
Edith Watson.
I'm Elaine Popov.
Anne Marie Long.
I'm Amy Heath. And can everyone else see the names of the people attending online, at least on their is it Zoom application they're using?
Everybody, it's Teams, but
Teams?
we might want to just announce them for Steve.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and announce yourselves as well, please?
Brenda Lenahan.
Christine Woods.
Lisa McDougall-Lee.
Trish Kelly.
And that looks like everyone from my visual on the screen. Thank you very much for doing that introduction. Thank you very much, Edith, for helping us along with that. So I do see, and maybe this answers part of the question that we're asking staff to answer. We have item number 2, a report being the Strathcona Accessibility Plan Progress Report. We're making a motion first for receipt. I do not see that there's any subsequent, is there? Oh, we've got someone, there is a subsequent on that one, or?
No, I can speak on it though.
Do you want the motion first, or do you want to speak on it first?
Motion first.
Motion first,
Okay.
please.
See, so can I have the mover and the seconder on receipt, please? Thank you, Mr. Hool. Thank you, Anne Marie. Okay, staff have commentary. When I was reading it, it said we adopted it, so that's why I thought you might update us.
Okay, sounds great. So the report before you summarizes the progress made by Strathcona Accessibility Plan partners since the plan's adoption in 2024. The report highlights both joint initiatives among partner organizations and individual projects undertaken with the respective organizations. So I've created a presentation to showcase the progress report and speak about the items further if that's of interest to the committee. I can pull it up on the screen and I can speak about all the items that will be displayed.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Wonderful, thanks.
If we have questions, can we ask those as we go along, or would you prefer we wait till the end?
Generally, we wait till the end, but I sort of defer to our unique committee's ability to process and hold information. So if you raise your hand and I see you, I can sort of signal to Elaine that we've got a question going.
Edith, does this work for layout?
Yeah, we can see it. You can see up there, it's showing in the middle of the screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the report provides an update on the progress, as mentioned, of the Strathcona Accessibility Plan, and it highlights the actions taken by the partner organizations to address the barriers and advance objectives. So in front of, on this display right now, I have the plan development process. So this is what was included in the actual accessibility plan. And it's the process of where we have gotten to where we are today. So the representatives from the Strathcona Accessibility Partners developed the initial regional accessibility plan. It was then brought to the Strathcona Accessibility and Inclusion Advisory Committee, identifying the barriers and provided feedback on the accessibility plan. The partners then finalized the plan and took it back to their organizations. So each partner decided on their own implementation of plan elements, and then the partners collectively decided what projects they will work together, which is what we'll show you going forward. So the planning and implementation of individual and collective projects took place. And then where we are today is reporting back to the Strathcona Accessibility and Inclusion Advisory Committee on the progress that we made in 2024. So the progress updates, again, the table that will be provided does not include the actual actions taken prior to the approval of the Strathcona Accessibility Plan, as that's what's listed in the accessibility plan itself. So here is the collective Strathcona Accessibility Partner. So this is what we did collectively. We attended the Disability Alliance BC training for local government. We successfully applied for funding through Spark BC to build an accessibility awareness training program for all partner organizations, staff, and elected officials, which we'll speak about later down in the agenda. We're quite happy to share that things are moving forward on that. The feedback mechanism is active and hosted on the SRD website and linked directly from partner organizations. We've also used social media to heighten awareness and to encourage the use of the barrier identification online tool. And we've created a schedule to share those awareness posts. Partners review the barriers quarterly to determine the collective action. And then the partners are exploring the best practices to help improve accessibility while hosting virtual meetings and sharing public meeting recordings. So the City of Campbell River actions in 2024 is they are currently planning a new website, and that will meet the WAG 2.0 standards. Webcast audio and visual recording equipment has been replaced and is to a higher standard than previous equipment. Subtitles are not yet available, but definitely will be explored in the future. The city will explore increasing time limits for select parking stalls for people with disabilities in the spring 2025 and monitor the effects. Visual aids will be added to the new curb cuts at Highway 19 and Hilchey Road this spring when the weather is warmer. And the material has been purchased, but warm weather is needed for the aids to be installed. The Strathcona Regional District. So we've installed a new accessible entrance door at the Strathcona Gardens Arena. And while the construction is underway for the new aquatic center, accessible parking stalls were moved closer to the arena doors and increased in number, and a new ramp and path from the BC Transit stop to the arena was created. And that was a direct reflection from a feedback form that we received, and we were able to adapt our accessibility to the building from the BC Transit station stop. Ongoing staff participation in a municipal accessibility community of practice to learn more from each other, share resources, and develop an advocacy voice for local government. We've also presented the Strathcona Accessibility Plan to staff and the Strathcona Community Health Network to build awareness. And similar to the City of Campbell River, we are also planning a new website in 2025, which will meet WAG 2.0 digital accessibility standards. The Vancouver Island Regional Library, they have established an internal intranet accessibility resource hub to support staff learning. This tool provides information on training opportunities, updates from the VIRL Accessibility Community of Practice, and resources to support staff in their growth and learning. VIRL, that's a hard one to say. VIRL staff have engaged in several training opportunities to develop their knowledge and skills in building inclusive experiences in libraries, how to operationalize the Accessible BC Act, how to build accessible customer service, and to learn about accessible library collections and e-resources to be able to better promote them to library users. Over 40 staff trained in autism awareness sessions delivered by Autism Canada. They've also observed National Accessibility Week in 2024 by sharing updates, resources, did you knows, educational opportunities, and more throughout the week, so staff and patrons could learn more about accessibility and amplify efforts of like-minded organizations and individuals to build a more inclusive society. In addition, the VIRL is in the process of upgrading all public access computers in each of its 39 branches to the Windows 11 environment that includes standard Windows accessibility features. As part of the upgrade, each branch will also be equipped with an accessible keyboard. The Vancouver Island West School District, SD84, they have a plan to use the BC CASE, that's CAISE, School Site Accessibility Assessment Tool to evaluate accessibility at school sites. This will include staff and community partners, and once completed, will guide the work of our internal subcommittee to ensure our school district is inclusive and accessible with improved access. The Village of Gold Rivers action was they secured funding through Spark BC for an accessible entrance door at the Anne Fiddick Aquatic Sports Centre, and the Village of Sayward upgraded the municipal building staircase to an accessible ramp. Village of Tassis upgraded the entrance to the Tourist Information Centre and Museum to be more accessible. And the Village of Zabalis designed and installed, they will be designing and installing in 2025 a new accessible ramp to the Village Administration Building. Implemented improvements to enhance the accessibility of village operations and meetings, acquired new electronic equipment to facilitate online meetings, and enable the recording of open council sessions, enacted a public notice bylaw to distribute statutory notices through mailboxes and the website instead of through newspaper. So the key themes and insights from this progress report are collaboration across organizations. Partners are leveraging shared resources to improve awareness and the knowledge of disabilities and the systemic barriers that exist. Capacity building, the training and awareness campaigns are underway. The barrier identification mechanism, so the feedback mechanism, as we know, is operational on the SRD website and accessible from the partner websites. And that feedback mechanism is managed by the SRD and shared with the partners. And infrastructure improvements. So 2024 included several enhancements to physical spaces to improve accessibility. And in 2025, improvements for digital tools and websites are underway, and these projects will incorporate, as we mentioned, the web content accessibility guidelines. So the next steps for the partners are a regional training program, which again, we'll speak about later down in the agenda. We're launching the Regional Accessibility Awareness Training Initiative in the summer in 2025. Public feedback, so we will continue promoting the barrier identification tool and review feedback quarterly. The barriers require immediate action are circulated to the appropriate partner for action. As partners develop the infrastructure and implement other projects to improve accessibility, they will bring forward those projects to the committee for feedback. Partners will also collaborate with the committee to determine preferred methods of engagement. And then monitoring and evaluation. So the partners will report progress to the Strathcona Accessibility and Inclusion Advisory Committee annually. And we'll continue to seek opportunities to share information, collaborate on funding applications, and build internal capacity. And the partners will incorporate learning into the next iteration of the Strathcona Accessibility Plan. Thank you.
So this is the time for questions from the committee. Does anyone have any questions? I see Brenda's hand is up.
Thank you. Thanks for putting that together. I guess, yeah, so I'm in the Village of Tassis. I'm also a councillor here now since I've joined the council, since I joined this committee. I ran for council too. But yeah, well, the one action that that was reported from our end is happening, but it has not happened yet. They're like, that's a planned project that they're working on the demolition right now. But just to be clear, it feels like sometimes we're, putting things out that we haven't quite done yet. But the other piece, I brought this up previously and I have not heard anything about it, but basically there's barriers to even knowing about what the barriers are. So I have not been able to, through the SRD or through the village, access the list of barriers that are being reported. and we have made no progress. We don't have a local plan. I recently, sort of brought this forward as sort of what's happening, and it was the first time that the accessibility plan had been brought in front of our council, and then it was sort of left to me to work on creating an accessibility policy. I just feel like there's not really. I'm trying to understand. I'm guessing this could be happening in other small communities as well. There's just no accountability. There's literally like nothing happening, and I yeah, I think that some things need to shift. I mean, if we were empowered at least with um, I've offered to partner to work on things, but if we were empowered with the knowledge of what barriers have been reported, and if partner organizations, like I don't know if we are in attendance for all of the partner, or if Village of Tassos is in attendance for these things. I don't know. It just feels like there's a big void here, and it feels very problematic. And yeah, I think I can't continue to be a part of a process that is just not that is not functional in my mind. It feels like it was sort of uh, it is sort of like, well, we're doing a regional approach, so we don't need to worry about it. But it needs to be more than that, and it can't be on me because as a disability advocate, I need others. I need the organizations themselves to be responding and standing up and reaching out to me for support, and I will support, and I'm here to do that. But yeah, I just wonder if others are experiencing this as well in their communities or in their prescribed organizations.
Does staff have a comment about further developments in the plan? Because I thought of two ideas that came right out of Ms. Lehman's comments.
I would love to hear them. I will just let Ms. Lena know that we do have a partner meeting quarterly, and there has been representation from the Village of Tassos, as there has been representation from other municipalities as well. So through our meeting, we are all gathering, and we do share the feedback mechanism and go from there.
So any further comments before I start saying what I thought about some of these ideas that Ms. Lena Lenahan is how I see your last name, Lenahan?
Yeah, it's Lenahan. Thank you.
Okay, don't see anyone else's hands up. So the thoughts that came to my mind was specifically when I heard Ms. Lenahan talking about drafting policy for council, and I thought, okay, well, perhaps the SRD should drive the looking at council policies that are going to have to be adopted and maybe come up with a uniform proposed for consideration based on our understanding of accessibility needs. And I think the second half of any policy is the monitoring data that comes back to council and or to this committee so that we can assist council one way or the other, however the best reporting process is. So we can identify, like I said, if there's reports of needs, then we can better maybe distill it in terms of our work at this committee. Because if we're finding it's a whole bunch of similar things like doorway accesses and automatic door openers, or we're finding things that we hadn't even thought about, because we talked about all the other issues from auditory to visual to things that we aren't thinking about it, because we don't live those lives. People with the barriers live those lives. So I don't know if you can steal from anybody else's ideas instead of developing it on your own, but that would be my suggestion. Of developing the plan even further is be a positive force, like a think tank, to go back into the various committees and organizations to develop a policy.
Yeah, Trish said she had something to share.
Oh, great. Trish has something to share. Thank you.
Thanks, Trish.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. And since I last spoke with you, I've definitely worked with other committees and other prescribed organizations across BC that have similar frustrations, especially when it's a regional approach, because one government or organization can't tell the other what to do. So like a regional government can't tell a city what they need to do, and that kind of jurisdictional slog gets really painful, especially for committee members. And what I have seen is helpful is if the committee proposes or requests that there is an annual work plan for the committee where each of the partner organizations are scheduled to come in and present. And it can be a presentation of maybe, you know, with some of those smaller communities, maybe you don't need to hear from every one of them every year. But if you were to break up your quarterly meetings to say, we want a presentation from one of the big organizations, we want a presentation from you know, at least one of the smaller orgs, or have them present for that conversation with a representative there to hear what the other orgs are doing. And then scheduling also to have, I think it's appropriate that staff cleans the feedback that comes in through the feedback mechanism to ensure it's not, you know, giving away any private or confidential information. But there isn't any reason why the committee wouldn't also receive a presentation, let's say every 6 months, of what barriers have come through. And then the part of your conversation in your meeting is, what do the committee members want to share in terms of the context you can offer around how important or how pressing this issue is, what are potential solutions. So I have a document that I created for another regional committee that is a proposed agenda for, and then a kind of like breaking up your 4 meetings in a year, what you could ask for from each of those partner organizations. It's only for 3 partner organizations, so you'd have to play around with it a bit for your format. But I just pulled out anything that was related to that particular client and can send it to Elaine after this meeting. But I think it would be powerful for you to say, okay, everybody, there's an expectation that you're going to use us as your think tank, and you're going to come to us and report on progress you've made and get our insights on the barriers that have been reported, and so we can be helpful. And I think that's a gap in terms of what I've seen, what I learned from working with Strathcona and other regional committees is, you know, the next accessibility plan, that should be a partner commitment. We are going to commit to an annual work plan where staff will be designated to plan what projects do we want to bring to the committee, who is going to report to the committee about progress made on barriers, and that's one of the group commitments is right in the next plan. It says we will do that. And yeah, so I'm happy to share that template. I also would say I would challenge, I don't think there's any reason why the partners group doesn't come together with the committee once a year so that you build relationship there and they know the kind of value that you can offer in terms of your expertise and your lived experience. And you get to build that connection to say, okay, I see who in my community is participating in this process, and it's not the chief accessibility officer. And so maybe we need to ask for them to come to a meeting as well, or you know, maybe it is the CAO, and that's great. So I would say another goal could be having some kind of joint meeting where you get to do a meet and greet or an annual check-in with the partners group and the committee. That seems to be effective. So I'll just stop talking now because it's your meeting and this is not my item, but happy to share that draft with you, Elaine.
Yes, thank you. And Anne Marie has a comment. Thank you.
I just want to say that I strongly agree with Trish's ideas, all of them. As a committee member, I haven't felt like we've been utilized in the best way we can. And it would really be helpful to be, you know, at the meetings where the decisions are being made. Or have them at ours, rather.
Okay, is there any further discussions with staff on the presentation? Christine, you're highlighted? Christine was, and then we've got another Christine.
Thank you. Yeah, Trish, I love that because, and I'm really glad that you brought it up, Brenda, because I feel like it's the transparency that's needed. And so with that transparency and with that information that's being brought forward, it's like, okay, it's an action plan. We can actually like deal with this and not have it be kind of like swept to the side or things that are missed. And then just really good communication. And I think that the important part is, especially for the smaller places on the island, that it is that community feel with bringing them into like the larger community, and kind of it being a little bit top down. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, and Christine in the room.
Hi, I hope this is the right place in the agenda for me to raise what was on my mind. It seems like it is. So I wanted to share with you an experience from the point of view of member of the public going about their day experiencing a barrier, and then what are they going to do about it? In this case, it happened to be my son. And he's very tech savvy, so he would have had no problem going online and filling out this form. But to talk to somebody, as a lot of people might want to do. And in this case, the partner organization was the city of Campbell River. And so the person that he spoke to didn't direct him to fill in the accessibility feedback form, probably had no idea that this committee even exists. Certainly didn't refer to the Accessibility BC Act at all. And so he was just given, in this case, it was a sidewalk issue. And I can address this particular specific thing separately, but he was just given an explanation about why, there wasn't a sidewalk there, and basically that's just the way it is and nothing much we can do about it. So I decided to put on that hat of Joe Public reporting and a topic. But I thought, well, I'm going to go on the City of Campbell River website. I'm going to do it that way. So I took a screenshot of this, but any of you are welcome to do the same thing. So you go there and you look for accessibility, and there's just really a short paragraph, and it really just talks about us, this committee, and then it's got the link to fill in the online form. So I think, okay, I was a little taken aback by that, because I'm thinking, okay, where is the responsibility of the partner organization in this, and why are they just referring it to us? Because for me, in our title, advisory is kind of a key word, not to do it. It's to advise about how to do it. So anyway, I go along, I go to find the form and I fill it in, and I have no idea what's going to happen with it after that. I made the assumption that maybe it was going to be on our agenda for us to discuss. But I thought, well, where in this does the city of Campbell River, and I'm not picking on them, it's just that happens to be the example. I mean, you could substitute a name of any of the other partner organizations when I say that, right? Anyway, so then Elaine and I had a conversation about it, and she said, because this was a number of months ago in January. So you told me that you had contacted somebody at the city of Campbell River and passed on the concern, the information on the form. And hadn't anybody got back to me? Nobody has gotten back to me. I haven't heard from anybody. And so then I kind of went around to the other websites of all the other partner organizations just to see what was on their sites. And the only one that had anything to do with accessibility on it was the school district. It was either the school district or the library. I have a feeling it was the school district. And it was exactly pretty much the same ideas in the city of Campbell River. There's a short paragraph. It's really about us and with a link to this. Now, I feel confused about this whole reporting procedure, because we can make this document plan as great as we want, but what is it going to be worth if the person out on the street who is supposed to be our target audience to be benefiting from these things, if they don't have any clue that any of this exists, and when they call a partner organization, which is who they're going to call or whose website they're going to go to, and they don't really get anything out of it. So I understand that we as a committee need to be kind of in the know about these reportings with our different partner organizations. And I'm not quite sure how the best way is to go about it, whether there's a CCing mechanism built in. And I think that we need to meet with the partner organizations much more than once a year. I think regularly. So yeah, and I think it was really telling when Brenda mentioned in TASIS a barrier is not even knowing what the barriers are. I think that's so key. So how can we make this? I mean, maybe you all don't see the same problem that I do, and if you don't, that's fine. Or if maybe you're seeing something in this that I'm not seeing. If you have any suggestion, if you think that this is flawed, if there's any suggestion about how we can make it better. Yeah.
So we still have two hands up, Brenda Lanahan and Christine Woods again. So go ahead, Brenda.
Yeah, I thank you for everyone's comments, but Trish, I really appreciate hearing, yeah, just some concrete, actionable ideas there, and I really hope that we can move forward on some of those. Yeah, and I agree that the barriers should, I feel like the barriers should be reported to us as a committee. How often are they reported to the partner organizations? Quarterly? I just don't see any reason why we shouldn't get them quarterly as well. I mean, it just really feels like, honestly, it feels like being kept at arm's length. It feels very counter to the nothing about us without us sort of approach. It feels actually detrimental the way this is working. Like it's very, it feels performative, to be honest, very performative. But I hope we can move forward, and I like Trisha's thoughts here. But if we could get those barriers quarterly, and then also with only thing I would say about Trisha's comments is with the small communities, I would say if we can hear from all small communities, it doesn't have to be long or much, but I would just worry that we will disadvantage smaller communities further if we kind of only hear from one small community per cycle or however that works, just because small communities, it's really hard to make progress. So I would love to really put a bit of a fire under that. But I love all the concrete ideas. My only other thought is, are we, because like when I look at that cycle, that circle, those actions on that page, we were really at, like, we'd only completed 2, and yeah, we ended up just the accessibility plan was brought only a couple weeks ago to council, because I had brought up, like, has this not happened yet kind of thing. I got in a by-election, so I wasn't sure where things were at. Yeah, so I just think we need to really, yeah, these are the actions that we need to work on. Oh, I wondered if we respond to people. So given the frustrating feeling I have when I think about what people are reporting barriers, like I know there's an automated response, but are we getting back to them or anything? Because again, that feels, if barriers are being reported and they're not coming back to the committee and the people who reported them are not getting anything back, that again is also, it almost feels worse than not having any of these processes at all, because it just, yeah, it's just not good. It's very frustrating and dehumanizing, really. Thank you.
Do you have any information on updating people who make submissions on the careers?
Sure, definitely. So when the feedback form comes in, it comes into the SRD, as you know, we manage it. And then we look at it and we say, okay, is it something that's urgent? Is it something that we need to take action immediately? If so, it is sent to the partner. So it would have been Christine's case, the sidewalk concern that you had, it would have been sent to that partner, which was the city of Campbell River. So the email was forwarded to them to take action. That is what the SRD's role is. And then what we do is, as the SRD, we meet quarterly with the partners and we discuss them all. But if there is something urgent, it is sent directly to that partner.
Yeah, I'll just let Brenda just comment because I think she's gonna reply to that. Is that correct, Brenda?
Yeah, I guess I just wondered the other thing about urgency. I mean, like, is it non-urgent that somebody can't use the public pool, or is that urgent? That's the question, is like what's deemed urgent by the people assessing this compared to the people experiencing the barrier. That's a bit of a concern, and I know I've reported many barriers for myself and for people in the community, and I haven't had any response at all. So I think we need to look at that piece as well.
Okay, any further comment from staff or just?
No, we're good.
Okay. And Christine, you have some comments? Thanks.
Thank you. Brenda covered a lot of it, but I guess, again, it's going back to transparency for me, and having like a directional flow chart would be very, very helpful. Like, you know, Elaine, you just went through it and you broke it down. So I was like, oh, awesome. Okay, now I know what's happening. But I think we were just kind of in the dark about that as to like, what is the process? And so if it's really informative for all of us and we can see kind of that breakdown, and maybe once Trish sends that draft, we can be part of like saying, okay, well, there's a break in the link here, and this is why we're not getting this information, and this is why we can't move this forward, because here's the broken piece, right? Here's the broken link. So maybe having kind of a little bit of a flow plan that's like very, very clear, and, you know, what are the urgent things that are being addressed and what are the things that are minimal, so that and then what is the follow-up time? Like, okay, sending an email, we all know how many emails get missed, right? When you're getting 150 emails in a week. So what is the follow-up? Like, do we have like a flow chart? Do we have, is it tabled? Is it, you know, what does that look like? So I think it's just a little bit more like of the nitty gritty, like even the tech stuff, and just having it more, kind of forward to us and kind of working together. It's like, okay, where are the missing pieces? So I think that would be helpful.
Yes, and Anne Marie has a follow-up.
It was actually back to the progress report. I think there's a tendency to look at physical accessibility. Oh, thank you. I think there's a tendency to look at physical accessibility and ignore more of the invisible disabilities or things that don't require, like, there's a stair, we need to put a ramp. And I just want to encourage all of the partners to focus not only on physical accessibility and sort of built spaces.
Excellent. So what I'm hearing right now is that we've got a motion to receive the report still on the floor. We don't have a proposed follow-up, but I'm hearing that there may be some appetite to further investigate. I guess we go from step 7 back into step 1. Is that my understanding? Is that where we're going next? We continue to work on the plan iteratively to develop some more adjustments to the plan potentially? Yeah, like what is the process? Like if we get a follow-up saying, can we get a staff report on the next steps necessary to adopt some of the ideas in terms of quarterly meetings, connection and reportability?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that sounds great. So I think that would be the next step then is too.
Okay. Okay, so any further discussion on receipt? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? None. Does someone want to make a motion to the effect to direct staff to bring us back a report or an action plan adopting some of the ideas of Trish and with respect to reflecting the concerns about feedback and communication? Okay, I've got Anne Marie and I've got Kim. And any further discussion on that potential motion? All in favor? And opposed? Great, thank you. Is that reasonable for the next meeting to have that?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Will the comments that folks online made, are they written down and will that be saved somewhere so that people can reflect back on it?
I believe they're all in the transcript, right? And that's available? So,
Yep, it'll be added. I'll have to check the video. I'm not sure if when you convert the video over, if it converts the transcript, but we'll have it in our records.
Okay, because sometimes on platforms like Zoom, they don't keep anything that's in the chat outside of that.
So they do on Teams, but they don't when you convert it over to go to a video onto like YouTube.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
okay. So the next item is under the Accessibility Training Awareness Program. We have a further report from the CAO to be received. So I'll look for a mover and seconder. Yes, thank you, Mr. Hu, and then seconder. Thank you very much, Kim. Is there anything from staff on this? Is it sort of an update in terms of what's going on? Yes, thank you.
Definitely, I can speak on that.
Thank you.
So in November 2024, SRD was awarded the grant for $25,000 from Spark BC to create an on-demand training and awareness program. So Untapped Accessibility was selected as the preferred vendor for the design and development. So delighted to share that with the assistance from Amy Dolly, Associate Director of Library Services Planning and Integration at the Vancouver Island Regional Library. Work began earlier this year. So Amy and I are working very closely with Untapped Accessibility on the creation of this training and awareness program. And we have Trish Kelly here, Managing Director of Untapped Accessibility, to share some details on the program progress and next steps with the committee.
I take it's up to you now, Trish, to give us an explanation. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. So very excited to talk to you about this and give you an update on the e-learning course that we're developing, that as was noted in that briefing note from the CAO, will be for staff of the partner organizations and elected officials. So to help establish a baseline of understanding of accessibility for them in an e-learning format that is being designed by folks on our team that have lived experience of disability, with some of our best understandings around how to explain the recent understanding of disability that's reflected in the Accessible BC Act, and getting into I think some of the frustrations that I'm hearing here today as well are captured in the course outline. So I think that I'm looking forward to you seeing that content when it's completed. At this stage, I wanted to let you know who's working on the project, because you do know at least some of the folks. So if you participated in this session that we did for Disability Alliance BC back in May of 2024 in Campbell River, you probably will remember Melissa Lyon, who was one of the co-facilitators. So she teaches at a course on accessible employment at the university level for Vancouver Island University, and she also works with us on the development of e-learning in particular. So she's working on the project. Also, Sarah Mulder, who you may or may not remember, because I think she was a note taker at that session, so not presenting. She has a background in instructional design and youth and disabilities and employment, and she is our main instructional designer on the project. And I just wanted to highlight that both folks have lived experience of disability, which is part of our, how we presented ourselves in the proposal we gave to for consideration. From SRD, Elaine mentioned that she and Amy Dolly from Vancouver Island Regional Library are working with us on it, and I think that's great. I'm really grateful for Amy's knowledge around accessibility. She has been quite a leader in the library space and hosts a community of practice for librarians on Vancouver Island. So we've got someone that has a passion for accessibility and also keeps bringing us back to okay, if this is supposed to work for any staff to understand accessibility, we need to think about people that are working the front desk at a library or in a rec center, and making sure that it isn't just going to cover what we want elected officials or chief administrative officers to understand about complying with the Accessible BC Act. So the whole e-learning is going to take ideally 40 minutes for a staff person to complete. So trying to be mindful of the fact that some folks probably aren't in front of a computer all day, so we need to keep it brief, and also just how busy people are, especially in small organizations where they have many hats. It's broken into 4 different modules, so trying to keep it concise and short bites where they could do module 1 and then get interrupted and come back and do module 2 the next day. The process that we're using, we started with learner personas where we imagined those people that are being trained and the different types of jobs they have and their different knowledge levels around disability and accessibility. Then we've built out a storyboard, which is kind of like just a word-based document that maps out the content, the learning objectives, and then also where we're going to put quizzes or where we're getting people to do a reflection and that sort of thing. And then the next step after that's all those are approved is to go into building it into the course authoring software. I also wanted to note that, again, looking to ensure that there is the voices of people with lived experience in the content. I think it was Renee's idea originally to have some elements of videos featuring community members with lived experience talking about barriers. So there will be 4 or 5 clips of about a minute each where community members will be on location in the community somewhere talking about their experience and relating it back to the content. So I think that's a big advancement over other e-learning we've been involved with where that's just sounded too expensive. And so it's just been text-based. So then those filmings will happen in April, and Suzanne from Jolly Good Media, who's a local filmmaker in in Campbell River, is going to be facilitating and doing the filming there. She's also someone that has a deep passion for accessibility and her own lived experience. So again, very exciting to have her involved in the project and to keep it local. In terms of I guess in terms of the content that's going into that, we will also be ensuring that this content is accessible for people with disabilities. So we'll be testing the final course to ensure that it works for screen readers, for example, and people that are navigating without a mouse. And the content will include some of those pressure points that you're talking about, like walking, like we were talking about. There are staff in each of these organizations that don't even know that a committee exists, that don't even know the plan, that don't know there's a feedback mechanism. So I was just reviewing one of the module outlines, and we have some, when we talk about what are barriers, we're not just teaching them what the definition of barriers are and the kinds of barriers that come up in the community. We're also teaching them how to report. So we're linking it to the feedback mechanism. We're getting them to reflect on how have they handled it when they've heard about accessibility barriers in the past, and what are they going to do now? And then also, do they know what their organization is doing about those barriers, and who should they ask? So we're kind of lighting a fire under any staff that take this training to become advocates and ask their organizations, hey, what happened with that? Where is that report? Or I put something, we're encouraging staff to also use that feedback mechanism when they do hear from a community member to go in and add that barrier in. So then empowering them to be reporters and also to feel invested in the process. So the plan is to do the filming in April, to continue building into the software. Then Vancouver Island Regional Libraries offered um, housing for the course. So it'll be available through their learning management system, which is great. That's such a cost savings for everyone. And then we're planning to do a kickoff session with staff. So it won't just go out by email, but there will be a whoop, whoop, it's done. This is ready for you. This is how you access it. And that will happen, I think we're planning for late June. And Elaine, I'm sure, will be in touch and reaching out to the committee, because I think it'd be very cool if we could have committee members somehow engaged in that launch to say, like, this matters. We want to know that you're taking this and you're getting your teams to take the training. Yeah. So maybe I'll just stop there on that one because I could go on. I'm excited.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else about the awareness program or the upcoming training? Yes, Emery?
I just have a question around compliance, for lack of a better word. Are there mechanisms built in to see who has, to see who has filled it out and who has not, or to make sure that everybody does take the training?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think it's very rare that organizations make training like compulsory for all employees. But I can ask Amy from Vancouver Island Regional Library about what kind of reports we'll be able to get from their learning management system. That's usually why learning management systems are expensive, is because everyone wants to know like who started and who completed. So we might be able to get some data around the number of people with a City of Campbell River email address completed the course versus Strathcona Regional District or TASIS or that sort of thing. So I can ask her about that. I haven't gotten to that detail with her and tested out her her learning management system yet. So that I don't actually know the answer to that.
Go ahead, Henry.
My second question is, can any committee members who are interested also participate in the training if we don't work for the partner organizations?
I don't know. I don't see why we couldn't expand it to committee members because you're technically on part of the local government process.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd appreciate
Yeah.
that. Okay, and I have Brenda Monahan has a question.
It sounds great and much needed. Again, yeah, I was along Anne Marie's line of questioning and concerned about uptake on it. And I guess going back to the previous conversation, thinking about accessibility policies, did you say that you were going, Trish, were you going to share some examples with us or with SRD team on accessibility policies you've seen elsewhere? Because I mean, I personally, I would love to, because I'm on council here, I could bring, try to move forward. I'd love to see the village doing it, like staff, but if they're not going to, I would bring forward a policy, and it could be that it is compulsory for all councillors and staff to do a training like that. I don't think that that's unreasonable at all, especially if it's I just feel like there's an idea that we're only trying to meet the very minimum compliance, and that's to have a feedback mechanism, and there's nothing beyond that. So yeah, I just think maybe we could look at building those things into policy.
I would say in terms of which local governments have an actual accessibility policy, not just a plan, I could do some digging. I think maybe District of Squamish has one, and I might have a few other examples I can send your way. What I promised to send Elaine, I actually just sent it, was the work plan idea. So like, how can you pull in those partners to say, you're all scheduled, you agree to commit to coming to present to us and talk about barriers with us on a regular basis, and that fits into your annual schedule. But in terms of compulsory courses, I would say, like, I'd recommend that this become part of just normal onboarding for new electeds and new staff, and you just normalize it that way. When you use the word compulsory with training, you can get people that actually, like, they get so mad about that it backfires and you have lower uptake. But yeah, but I think I also think it would be reasonable for the committee to make a recommendation to that if you like the training, when you see it, that you say, we think it's important that this is mandatory for all employees, and we recommend that it become that that each organization tracks the uptake or something along those lines.
Yes, and Marie, further?
Just thinking on what Trish just said, compulsory, I agree, will make people's back bristle. But if we do the carrot rather than the stick, we might get more uptake. Maybe people can be entered into a draw to win a pass to the pool or something in their regional area, or some sort of gift as a way to incentivize participating rather than make it compulsory. Though I think it should be compulsory, we just shouldn't use that word. So onboarding is great during the onboarding session, but I think also we have to also reach all of the people who are currently employed, have already and currently elected and haven't taken it yet because it hasn't existed yet. So that's another audience to think.
I guess I'll leave it for Trish to sort of explain how she might see it roll out. I mean, I know in certain HR situations, the bigger organizations, people have growth plans themselves, and it could be added as an option, as a sort of objective for the following year. But in the smaller organizations, I agree, it might take a different approach. But I'd love to wait for staff and Trish to get back to us. I did have a question with respect to Suzanne doing the videos. Have you got all your people set up for April, or are you still looking for volunteers for explaining barriers?
I can take that, Trish.
Yep.
I believe we do have everyone in place. I think we have 4 of the 5. And yeah, we're setting up locations and everything right now.
Okay, great. Any further discussion on the motion to receive the report on accessibility training and awareness program? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That's great. And now we're out to the Disability Alliance BC previous training and future opportunity. Then we have another report from the CAO to be received. Can I get a motion to receive? Yes, Anne Marie, and second by Mr. Ho. Okay. You? My phone was doing something else. Okay, where is that one? That's the thing you're going to speak
Yeah,
on later?
definitely.
Okay, thank you.
So just a quick update on the May 2024 Disability Alliance BC training session that was held in Campbell River. What we wanted to do is just have an opportunity to let you know that the actual sessions that many of the committee members attended that took place last May were designed to support accessibility committee members in their roles. And we're happy to share that the insights gathered during those sessions have directly contributed to the development of an upcoming e-learning course for committee members. So as Trish is already on the call, I have asked Trish quickly just to talk about the new upcoming e-learning course, as I know that Trish is very involved in the development of it with Disability Alliance BC Canada. And I would love for you to share some more information about that, Trish.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe I can explain it in terms of how it's different from what we just talked about, because I think, woohoo, you have the opportunity for some staff to do both the session, the e-learning that you're developing with us, and then also to ask them to take the training through DABC. But that one will also be great for you as committee members and also for future committee members. So you remember back in May, we came and we talked about what makes an effective committee? What are the frustrations? Where is it not necessarily living up to expectations for committee members? And where are the disconnects in terms of relationship with prescribed organizations hosting committees? We did more research after those meetings, and then Melissa Lyon and I worked very closely on developing a course. It has 2 different streams. One is for committee members, so how to contribute to an effective committee and how to be an effective committee member. And then the other one is for staff that host the committee so that they understand how to describe the unspoken rules of how local government works, for example, or how to help people that have not been part of a official committee before understand how decisions are made and these kind of pieces. So it's a bit longer. I think we've said that it could be completed in 2 to 3 hours. So there's definitely more detail. Someone who is a chair of a committee, like Steve, you've signed up to be a vice chair, I think. There would be great tips for you as well in terms of how you hold space in a way that is respectful, and how to do it, for the staff side, how to do it in an accessible way and ensure meetings are accessible to people with a variety of disabilities. But it's kind of half technical and half that understanding what will make a good relationship and how to properly leverage the expertise of an accessibility committee. So some of those things, like there should be a work plan, like how to ask for a work plan from your prescribed organization, how to design one if you're the staff that is responsible for liaising with the committee, and how to recruit for vacancies on the committee, and that kind of thing. So we gave over the final files to Disability Alliance back in December, and since then they've been kind of struggling to find a learning management system, like the online platform, that's accessible and also affordable to them, because they don't have a lot of budget. So they've been kind of struggling with that, and I've heard that they're going to use Moodle, which is kind of a little bit out of date but can do things accessibly. So they're kind of doing a little bit of fiddling with it. They've got a page page that they're called on the BC Accessibility Hub website that says courses, e-learning, and webinars, and they've got a bit of text, but the courses are not loaded yet. So my expectation is in the coming weeks, they'll be sending us a link to say, okay, they're up, please test them. And then we'll send them to our partners who will do all the accessibility testing to make sure they didn't break it when they put it on the website. And it will be free. So all of you will be able to take that training. You'll be able to refer staff to take the training as well. And I'm just going to add a link to the chat for the BC Accessibility Hub website if you want to keep checking it daily like I am. But otherwise, I think once it's up and it's tested, they'll have a launch event, and I'll make sure that Elaine knows about it so that she can share that information with you. And they would be reaching out to notify committees as well that the resource is now there. So we've learned a lot from our conversations with you and with other accessibility committees, especially the regional ones where there's such complexity in terms of decision making. And I hope you'll see your wisdom as well as some potential solutions for you articulated in that free course.
Well, excellent. Any questions from the members here about this particular Disability Alliance training that we might be getting to do? I guess it sounds like that's for us. Okay, my only thing that I'm curious about, Trish, and it's something I drum about quite a bit as a person who's been sitting doing policy and committee works and then now elected, is getting much more information flow to us on potential topics of interest. Whether it's news articles or examples of other governments or local committees moving ahead with initiatives. It's just very helpful for committee members to feel engaged and educated to do better. So I hope some part of this Disability Alliance thing talks about that information flow.
Yeah. Well, eventually, I think the ABC wants to get there. They have shared with me that the original funding they received to help organizations comply with the act was about $3 million. They hadn't spent it all, and it was supposed to end in March. So they've received I think that they're going to get an extension to continue spending the money that's not yet been used. And I think that they're planning that they would like to do something like a conference for committees or some way to bring together committees to share knowledge across the committees. I don't know if it will have any kind of like long-term, like hub page or anything like that, but I think they have been looking at ways to bring together committees and support them to network and share from each other. And then on the organizational front, Elaine had mentioned, I think, that there's a connection between SRD and the Municipal Accessibility Network, which is a group I've never been invited to present to, and I feel I'm missing out by not meeting those folks. But I hear they're going to have a conference in October in Vancouver, so there will be a chance for local governments to get together and network and also meet organizations that can support them in reaching beyond compliance. So hopefully we'll get there.
Okay, so I caused a little extra delay to the meeting, so all in favor of this report? Any opposed? That's carried. So thank you for your indulgence, everyone, on that. Oh, Brenda, you had a question? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to hear again, that was a Municipal Accessibility Network. Is that what you said it was?
That's what I've heard it called, MAN for short, which is really funny. But Elaine, I think in the CAO's report, it might have had a slightly more formal name than that, but it was mentioned or maybe it was in your annual update for SRD or City of Campbell River actions. Yeah.
Report.
Okay.
Okay. I was just thinking about, yeah, the need to really like having something at UBCM, or I mean, it's great if there is an accessibility network, but just there's a real need for education and for there's a real need for education across the province, but especially I'd say in smaller communities. And so that's helpful. That's great to know. Thank you.
Excellent. So moving on to the next item, number 5, the National Accessibility Awareness Week. So we have two motions. So the first one will sort of hopefully smooth it through, but maybe there'll be some questions. That the report from the Chief Administrative Officer be received. Can I get a mover and seconder? Thank you, Emery, and thank you, Mr. Yo. Is there any discussion or staff commentary on this, just to let us know that it's coming up for May 25th to 31st?
Yeah, just to let everyone know about the National Accessibility Awareness Week, which is May 25th to 31st, and then a reminder about Red Shirt Day, which is observed on the Wednesday of the week, which is May 28th, and that's organized by Easter Seals Canada.
And is this something, I know we did declarations and stuff, is it something that maybe you guys can send over to the city so we see whether or not we want to do a declaration?
Yep.
Yeah, okay,
sure,
great.
sure.
Any further discussion on this matter? Okay, all in favor of receiving the report? Any opposed? That's carried. And now we're off to the committee member appointment. Oh, we have B, that the chair of the committee be authorized to respond on the committee's behalf to funding opportunities that may arise if its meeting schedule precludes timely consideration by the committee. What exactly are we asking there?
I'll speak on that. So last year, funding opportunities were made available to support organizational accessibility efforts during National Accessibility Awareness Week. So to proactively prepare for potential funding opportunities, we propose that the committee chair be authorized to initiate applications due to the fact that if the committee can't meet in time before the application deadlines, we just wanted to provide the opportunity for the committee chair to be authorized to initiate applications when they are time sensitive.
Okay, so we'll need a mover and seconder. Yes, Steve, and yes, thank you very much, Kim.
That's a good question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I agree with the motion in principle, but I'd also like to suggest that as much as possible, we use email or more immediate communication ways to be able to say, yeah, I'm in favor of this, or no, I'm not, or yeah, I'd be willing to look over the grant proposal or that sort of thing. So there's a way to let us know what's happening and potentially involve those of us who are interested in supporting that.
I think the difficulty is the way that the local government system is that we don't have the ability to do sort of email consents. Is that correct? But that doesn't mean we can't say that something's about to happen and I'll inform you as the chair to let you know.
That's what I was talking about, yeah.
Okay, all in favor of that motion? Any opposed? Okay, it's carried. And now we're down to the committee member appointments. Is that right? No. Yes, it is. There we are. The 2025 committee member appointments, that the report from the CEO be received. Oh, Emery, did you first that?
Sure.
Okay, and Steve, did you second that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Is there any comments that we need on that? Is it just sort of telling us anything particular?
That's just basically letting the committee know that member appointments are coming to an end into September, and we are looking for anybody who's interested in reappointment to advise us by way of your reapplication. And then if there's spots that remain vacant after that point, we will go out to the public and do another call for membership.
Just for clarification, is the application a formal process? Is there a form, or is it just, can a member right now just say, I'm interested in standing again?
I believe if you put that into an email, we would be able to accept that because we already have your application on file.
Would that be an email to you?
Actually to Elaine, because she's a strategic initiatives interim manager.
Thank you.
I don't see any questions, so no further discussion. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And then the part B was that members interested in reappointment to the Strathcona Accessibility Inclusion Advisory Committee submit their applications prior to September 13, 2025. Why is that a motion?
It was just suggested to us by the
Okay.
corporate officer. For
So
that.
there you go, the corporate office. Okay, so who wants to move that? Oh, those two again, Anne Marie and Steve. I don't think there's any further discussion. It's pretty clear. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And we have some correspondence. We've got something from the Vancouver Island Health Authority regarding travel assistance, and the January 7th, 2025 correspondence from the Vancouver Island Health Authority regarding travel assistance for non-emergency medical care be received. Anne Marie and Steve, thank you. Is there a discussion necessary on this one? It's a program that says you can get funding. Do you have to ask for it through the regional?
No, it's just keeping the members informed that there is new opportunities here for travel assistance.
Is that meant to let us know personally because they could come to our meetings in Campbell River, or is this more for personal use for?
I think it's for more personal use because it
Okay.
says patients who require appointments outside of their community. And there's different programs. There's a travel assistance program, BC Family Residence Program, and so on.
Okay. Is this something through the Strathcona Community Health Network you guys are already putting out?
No, I believe this is through Island Health.
Yes, it's through Island Health. It was just a news release that we were provided, and we thought we would share with the committee members of personal interest.
Okay, so after the vote for receipt, I'm gonna look for a motion to refer it to that network for their information. Okay, so all in favor of receipt? Any opposed? And then a motion to refer it over to, it's called the Strathcona Community Health Network, correct? Is that the new one is?
If it's not, we'll make sure that we. got the
Okay, I
correct name in
think, so
there.
the Strathcona Region District just created a new community health
Yeah.
network, which is regional health, so.
Yep.
A motion to refer it over to them for their information. Thank you, Anne-Marie, and seconded by Steve. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I think that's carried, and now we're at motion to terminate. So I'll take a motion from the board to terminate. Yes, Steve and Christine, thank you. Any opposed? I see no one opposed. We're done. Thank you. And thank you very much for your patience. And I think that's exactly the time, isn't it? 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
Mhm.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.